Stay on target.
There
There.
you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me get some more coffee and get a little more jittery.
Wait, so you can hear me now?
Yep.
I didn't realize the camera was pointing at.
The camera was what? You didn't realize the camera's pointed at your closet? Yeah.
Right.
Why do you think I have this curtain, dude?
Okay, so let's see. Which screen is it showing? It's showing me. So share screen. Let's see.
Yep. Show me what you got.
I don't use Skype a lot, so I just really got set up. Share screen.
It should be. Oh. Yeah. Did you find
there
it?
You go.
Hey, look at that. Oh, what do you got? Some kind of gladiator combat going on here? Little faint for Josh output. Okay.
As far as sound goes?
No. That's on my side.
Oh, okay.
What about now, Ro?
Okay. So you can see everything. Everything's good?
I sure can.
Okay.
Yeah, your sound is coming through kind of faint, but I'll repeat some of the stuff that you're saying. Better? Okay. No. It's better. I turned my computer up, so for me it's gonna sound like you're freaking yelling at me. But yeah. So don't blow out your mic. Oh, okay. Nice. Gaspar's Ghost Panic. Did you make those?
Yeah, I made everything.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was like for the last 2 months, like my main project is too big, right? So I wanted something that I was going to be able to finish very soon. So like from watching the show, I was like, oh, that's how you make a small game, right?
Right, sure. Oh, is that something you got from Coffee with Cross? Like this is how we make something tiny?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so, that's great. As long as somebody got something out of my ramblings.
So basically, like, that was it. And somebody just said teleporting one day, and I says, "Oh, I'll make a small game about teleporting."
Okay.
So I mean, I'll just play it.
Yeah, play it and walk us through.
Like the whole idea was like, something small, something quick. I'll turn the sound down because I'm borrowing a song for placeholder for now. I don't want it to get like YouTube or anything.
So check you out with your options and like all pro style, man. If you want some help with this, I'll help you out with some art assets that you can do for your UI, and then come through and give you some notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like as far as everything functionally is pretty much done at this point.
Tournament mode? What's tournament mode?
Well, that's just like if you want all the UI and pausing off. I figure like that's a good idea to have in games.
Yeah.
People do them like that now, right?
Fantastic. So. All right, let's see it, dude. Come on.
Okay.
What's the game? Yeah.
So basically, it's really simple, right? Like you just where you click is where he teleports to. And then so basically every time a set of panels appears, the like the way that the color's fading from white to blue on them, it's timer until that set of panels disappears.
Okay.
And when you clear that set, then the next set comes up like at double the value or more value, right?
Yeah.
But the longer you play, the ghosts start to appear.
Yes, I see that.
And so then they throw magic at you. And like there's 7 different magics they can get as time goes on, and it gets harder and harder. And so like I mean that's like the basic idea. At 32 points the Ghost Panic button comes up.
Okay.
And you can touch that.
Oh, and it'll kill all the ghosts. Okay.
Away. Yeah.
Okay.
But it also is going to reset your panel level.
Got it. So it's like a soft reset for the player. That's awesome.
Yeah, and every time every time it works worse and worse. And so like every minute or so the arena shifts.
That's nice.
To change. And oh yeah, and so your teleport actually levels up as you play. Like over down in the corner, teleport level 5.
Okay.
So like the more you teleport, oh no,
oh no, stay on target.
Like the faster the teleport becomes.
Okay.
And the ghosts also level up too when they throw so much magic. So.
Yep.
But yeah, the whole idea was I really wanted this to be like a touch game, like maybe for like iPad or something like that. But
sure.
like it turned out to be fun enough to just be
with the mouse.
Yeah.
There's
no reason, I'll probably just do both.
There's no reason you can't do both. So how do you lose? The ghosts kill you?
Yeah. Once you get hit by magic once, like that's it. So
okay.
I guess I get hit right now. I don't want to die though.
Yeah. So can you teleport anywhere on the board, not just on the score?
Yeah, or anywhere on the square.
Yeah, anywhere on the arena floor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, play it again, because I want to understand all of the states around what you got going on. You still there, Josh? Josh? No, 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 yes, no. Oh. Burr, 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 burr. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, he did freeze. He done freezed. Let's call Josh back. Well, I'll tell you what, in the meantime, let's go back to, let's go to OBS. While Josh is doing that, let's go back and look at our logic and see if I can start sussing out this, this sequence action. Let me see. You know, for now, I am going to ditch this distance threshold, because that's actually where I introduced my bugs, and I need to rethink that sequence. Let's get back to a place where everything works roughly how we want it to, and then I'll come back and polish that distance piece. Let's save the graph. Hey, there you are. What happened? Oh, we lost sound again. Ha ha ha! Adventures in Tech. Yeah, actually, have you... Oh, hey,
okay.
There you are.
It should be good now.
Yeah. Ro was saying that your frame rate needs a little love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it's like, especially on our side, though. So maybe turn off some of your D-lights for a while till your frame rate gets optimized. You know, you should actually... Do you have a test... What do you have? You have an iPhone?
Yeah, I do.
Are you on Mac or PC?
I'm on PC.
Okay, you need to get a test machine, because if you, like, you'll get way more efficient. Sorry, I'll move my cursor off your nose. You'll get way more efficient if you test on like a mobile device.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh wow, that's fast or slow, or this is working and that's not working, and it'll change some of your mind about how you're doing some of your assets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking I was getting around to getting all that stuff.
Yeah, you need to start doing a little bit of optimization, but that's fine. Let's launch it up again. Let's see that.
Okay. Oh yeah, share screen.
Share screen.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, dynamic lights.
Dynamic lights on iDevice.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, because I just at first it was really, really simple, but then once I said, like, oh, I could probably make this for PC too.
Yeah.
I said, I'll just make it, as complex as I want for PC, and then scale down as needed for, like...
Yeah, although there's a dangerous... it's dangerous going in that direction, because you may end up so far away from target.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because... like, you generally should start with the lowest config and make it look good there, right? It's easier to res up in a lot of ways than res down. Especially when you're exploring what the look is, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're exploring what the look is and you're trying stuff out, you want to go for the lowest config, right? And then when you get it to look how you want it to look and playing how you want it to look on the lower one, it's easier for you to make it more complex, right? So whatever. Anyway, we can go through that, because the thing is, like, you can get into some sloppy habits on PC because
that makes sense.
There's so much more RAM, and your video card is so much more powerful potentially, right? That when you start talking about target devices, you can end up painting yourself in a corner because you're like, oh yeah, dude, it's fine. I'll just put D-lights on everything. It looks awesome. And then when you go to mobile, you're like, oh, it looks like shit. Right? And then so you've missed your target market because you started with a mobile concept and then you went to PC. And you sort of have to resist the easy path, right? If you really do want it, or essentially you cut the mobile platform, right, and just stay on PC. Like it forces that decision, right? But also, I think
the thing. That is dangerous because I started making like the lights are kind of an important part of things now, right?
So
as far as judging distance and where the magic's at, so
So now you have to sort of think about that. You could there are ways to do it. Like you could do these lights not as D-lights but as cookies, right? You can fake your dynamic lights by making them just like a texture flare, right? That travels over the ground.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that make sense? Like you don't need the actual light for it. You just have to have the effect of the light and put it down on the ground underneath your object, and it'll run faster, like on no matter what platform.
Yeah, that's true, because it's always just looking at the ground, and it's never really going anywhere else.
Yes.
Like you barely notice any lighting effects on anything else it's touching.
Yeah, and especially since the camera's not moving, you don't really need a whole lot of dynamic lights. You know where everything is in the world. You just have to tell it where to put the light cookie, right? Like your shadows aren't that dynamic, right? Even on PC, you're not going to need a bunch of that. We can go through that at some point. Okay, so show me some action. Like play it again. Play it again. Again.
Okay. But yeah, and I mean the particles are probably too crazy for any sort of mobile device too, and things like that. But
Rose got some suggestions in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he says you can get better effects with shaders anyway.
Okay, I need to look into that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know too much about shaders. I've just kind of like, used what's in front of me.
This is a good time to do it, since in 5.1 they introduced all the shader work. Oh, check out your ghosts, man! So they look at the player and try to follow, right? Do they have different movement patterns?
Yeah, like they each have like as far as their values go, like the red one, he like basically he'll close in on you and then orbit around you in a circle and kind of backs in and out, like intimidating, like it's kind of like rage. So he stays on you. The blue one generally moves towards one of the corners or one of the sides.
Yep.
And he's not going to throw magic until I think he throws the least amount of magic. Because each one of them is based on an emotion.
Yeah.
So, and then the green one is befuddlement. So he usually stays at a distance, looks confused, looks around for you, and won't really close in, and then he'll throw from far away.
Right.
And then there's a pink one that hasn't come out yet that decides like another ghost to follow and base whether or not it's going to throw magic on whether or not the ghost is looking at it.
And then who's throwing that donut?
I mean, they can all throw any of the different ones. But like each one of them favors a certain spell.
Okay. And then did the arena just change?
Did the what? Oh yeah, it changes back. Oh no!
Oh, that's what you get. All right, next, play it again. Play it again. Well, no, because I'm going to start giving you... Yeah, Dell says the particles look okay to me. You're not going crazy on them. And I think basically what he's saying is... they look pretty good. But from my side of things, I actually think that, like, some of your particles could be tuned to not be so crazy. Like when when the button shows up, it could be half that time.
Like, when the button shows up?
Yeah, and it makes that smoky cloud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so opaque. There's a couple of things I would do, which is like reduce the opacity of those smoke bits, and also make that interaction faster. Like I feel like there's some sort of slow bits in your game, right? Like, dude, it takes it takes too long. Like that button needs to show up, and I need to be able to use it. You know.
Like pop.
Yeah.
And also, like him hitting it takes a while too. Oh, that wasn't smart.
Oh man, you just had a panel chain. Oh Jesus! All right.
Oh yeah, there is bonus for that.
Yeah.
For chaining the panels.
Okay, so which brings me to my next question, because I was just about to ask you about that. So you can teleport not on the scoreboard, on the score pieces, right?
On the score. Oh, for the chain.
Well, you can teleport off.
Oh, yeah, you can teleport anywhere.
Okay.
On the arena.
As long as it's the arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm looking for the places where you're going to have progression. Because I like the progression that you've got.
And like, so there's actually two chains. It's like, there's like a perfect panel chain if you only click on a panel to move to. And then once you click off, you lose the perfect chain, right? Which is then, it shows up. So then the perfect chain gives a multiplier. And then so that multiplier gets applied when your perfect chain ends, because I clicked off of a panel. But I still have the panel chain, which is just still giving me more points, just without the multiplier now. So this whole chain has to restart in order for the multiplier to come back.
You should put a more dynamic text piece in there that says what my chain multiplier is. Do you know what I mean? Like down here at the bottom, like what am I going to lose if I don't click on the chain?
Yeah. So like you know at all times.
So you know that the next decision you make is going to lose, say, like a 32x or 64 or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if I should do that or not. Like, I was like, is that going to be too much information? Or
Well, you can put it on, like, we can find somewhere to put it, but for now you should put the information up somewhere, because it should change your decisions, right? Like, oh, I can't miss the panel.
Okay.
So every sequence is always 4 panels?
No, it increases to a maximum of 8.
Okay.
Like this time it's going to be 5 for the 12 by 12.
Right.
So like each time you see that particular arena again, it'll increment most of the time.
Yep. I feel like the how long have we been playing this current level for? Or this run through?
It's probably about 4 minutes. I can actually check.
Panel chain plus 16 times 2. Session time 2
minutes.
So there's a couple of different notes for you here. Is I think get to 32 and you can choose to go back. How high can you go? Right, like
96.
96.
Yeah.
I feel like you should go 2 more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Only because, let's see, 30, 32, 64. So it doesn't really 64. So it doesn't double like.
Yeah, the 96 wasn't a doubling, so I wasn't sure. Like I was like, is that too much?
No, keep going, because you need to stay consistent. Like the rule can't change.
Right?
Right, you can't go to half at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like you can't go like just like it caps at 32, it just adds 32. Like if you're gonna have it double every time, you need to stick with that scoring structure.
Okay.
Right? So that the logic stays the same in the player's brain.
Yeah.
Because if I got there and I went, wait, 96? What? Right? Like what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got some ramping functions, and I think if you don't mind, maybe I'll drop back in on you in a couple weeks. But I'd like if you wrote down the different things that you're using for ramping, like altogether, right? Like everything that you do to ramp, because it's you're increasing ghosts, you're increasing the amount of panels, you're changing the arena, right? At some point, and then you've got a score multiplier and a reset button, which are factored into that. But your ramping is basically those like 3 or 4 things, right? Like score increases, like so. What I'm looking at here is like what we want to do is come up with a nice logic. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, Dell's got more. Dell has more notes in here. He's got some good ones and some good ideas here. He's got challenged the player to see how far they can get, but they lose all score if they die before they leave the level, right? And I think there's an interesting thing there because I don't know that I would ever hit that reset button except to save myself from the ghosts, right?
Yeah.
What if the button was actually like save my score as well, right? So like I'm like ramping up, save it at this point, but your multiplier has to start at 0, right?
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you could also do. So Rose says drop the power of 2. What do you think, Dell? Is just doubling it or not doubling it? Just go by some set increment. And he sent you a couple of links of games that you should check out. That does this really well. One of them is called Hoplite. And he's got a talk from Vlambeer. Those are the guys that do some other arcadey games. Because I think
games.
Off the bat, some of the stuff that I say here is like, oh right, you also got the amount of time that each panel stays up, right? Does this increase as the game goes?
No. What increases is the speed of your teleport actually increases. So like, there's more panels. They always disappear at the same rate.
Okay.
But your teleport gets faster.
Oh, Dell says don't do the power of 2s just to keep it from being. To make it less geeky. Oh, and the arena starts moving.
Yeah.
So
all can move.
I'd like to add a couple things for you.
Okay.
One is stick with this scoring logic of doubling right now, just because you've got that, and then I think Dell's right. Royal is right. That maybe it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like just a straight progression, or like 10, 20, 30, 40, something like that, so that it's a little easier to know what's next in the sequence, right?
Yeah.
Doubling is fine, but I think it should be something like put the reason that it doubles, right? Or basically put some logic around it. Which brings me to the other thing is when you first start, and this is going to change the amount of time it takes for you to change arenas and stuff like that. The very beginning of the game, only put 1 panel.
1 panel.
1 panel, and it's worth 1 point. Then you get to 2 panels, it's worth 2 points, right? Then you get to 4 panels, it's worth 4 points, and you can continue that logic as you go up. They all don't change the timing of when they disappear, but now the value goes up, and there's more score on the board, right? Every time that you go. So the only reason I say start at 1 is essentially every time you play, it should feel like kind of a tutorial, like, oh, I need to click this thing, right? Your logic to having 4, I know, is to teach you that there are 4 in sequence initially, or to sort of make that difficulty. But that first 2 or 3 ramps should be dead simple, right?
Okay.
So, and also, this is why I'm saying, like, list out everything that you're ramping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many panels, changing the arena, changing the ghost, and put those things more on a schedule, right? And, like, and
they're all disconnected.
They're kind of all over the place, and I think that you're reacting sort of intuitively to, I need to make this harder right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you need to go back through, look at all of the ramping pieces that you're adding, and add them very discreetly, right? After 4 of these, this happens. At 5, this happens. At 6, this happens, right? Think of it like, go back and play Plants vs. Zombies, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the best ramped games ever.
Okay. Yeah, I was just playing that, so
ever.
I can put that more closely.
So, not Plants vs. Zombies 2, the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forget Plants vs. Zombies 2. It's an abomination. It's a piece of trash. Yeah, and Hoplite will probably give us some insight as well. The arena, Ro likes your arena aspect too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to get going.
Yeah, and actually, he's right. You should drop the doubling piece until, do it like, just increase by 1 every time, right? Because you're going to like a massive amount of score. Like, here, you know what? Do this. Give me the list of everything that you're ramping, right? And we'll work through the logic of when it's ramping, right? So write that all down. We'll work that logic out. Because I think if you work that out, because where we really want to get to is a really great play session, and it gets harder to play by X time, right? So unmanageable by 1 minute in.
yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping. I was like, it's not going to be like a long.
And right now, like, you've got a nice slow ramp, but it's allowing more like 3 to 5 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
Right, and your ramp is not understandable from. It's not very clear. Right. So what you want to do is like, no ghosts, 1 panel, right? And every time you pass like a section, right? What are you calling that? A level?
Like an arena shift. That's what.
Well, let's just call it levels, right?
Yeah.
Because what you should do is the panels are worth whatever number you put on the panel, right? Like, and we'll break that up into like sections and levels or something like that, right? Like something that's discrete. Like, you have to pass 10 things with that are worth 1 score to move to 2, and then you get 2 scores for that. But the button shows up, whatever. I actually forget about the button right now. I like the mechanic, but you need to work out your ramp first to figure out where the threshold is for the button. Right?
Yeah. The buttons are like, I still don't even.
Yeah, but you want this to go like, if we're going to get this fast, like, take all of your particles and knock them down to, Dell's got a good thing in here about sub 1 second to make them feel snappy, right? And basically look for like how you're going to ramp this up in a way that I understand, right? And so it might be 1, and then you get 2, and they're both worth 1, and then we do that 10 times, and then we go to 2 score, right? And it goes up. And hitting the reset button doesn't actually change the amount of panels; it changes the score on the panels, right? It's not a full reset. It's just it rocks your score back down. So you might get up to like 10 panels, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is awesome. They're all worth like 10 points. I can get to, if I'm fast enough, I can click to all of them, right? But since the timer for how long the panels stay up is consistent, once you get to 10, it's going to be harder and harder to just get around the board, right? To get all of them, right? You want people to feel like perfectionists, and I want to click every single one. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Right. Yeah. So the thing is to get there without changing the panel timer is you have to start overloading how many they can click on. I don't know, how long do the panels stay up?
Like
3 seconds?
Value.
3 seconds, something like that?
No, not even that long.
2 seconds full?
It's like each set is like 12.
12 seconds. Okay. So where you kind of need to get to, and this is where some human testing is going to come in, is how many panels can you personally put on screen that are at, say, 10 seconds? 12 is a very strange number. You should make it 10 seconds. Right? Yeah. 10 seconds. How many can I click in 10 seconds? Right? And this is the other side of the ramping piece, is you have to start picking your upper bounds, right? Of like, at what point am I overloading myself? And play, not because you know where everything is or how fast you can go, but like fudge yourself a little bit, like you're not quite as good, right? And we'll talk about ramping, is like, because the thing is you're approaching this from a high skill point. When people first play the game, they're going to have low skill. They have to figure out what's going on, right? And then you assume that the player's skill increases as they play, right? And that's the point that you want to ramp, is, okay, it's great. So like the first 20 seconds of this is now going to be easy for everybody because they know what the rules are, right? So like every time you go, there's like a rule discovery and like a skill discovery of like, oh, I can go faster. Or I want some strategy and like I want to click this one, then that one, then this one, right? So like to build that strategy into it, you're going to have to do it on paper. Like we're going to have to like work it out. And not cross over with how many things are getting thrown at you, right? And we'll talk about some of those meta stats of like, okay, after you do 10 of these, then I am going to start throwing two variables at you, right? So after 10 times through, I reduce the amount of time that the panels are up by 6 seconds, right? Or something like that. And so we can do, every 10 or, every 20, I add a new ghost, right? And that gives a player 10 levels to understand what ghost they're playing with. Because like once you start to add them, even though you know what they do, I had to ask you, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like they have slightly different personalities, but I can't tell what's going on because it went to shit really quickly. Right?
Yeah, there's just so
much shit going on, right? Give me 10 levels to play with Sad Ghost. Give me 10 levels to play with Rage Ghost. Give me 10 levels to play with what's his name, and all of a sudden you're gonna have like a couple hundred levels of progression, right? If you line it up and still be, keep it exciting, because at some point people will be able to like manage their own speed through this by tapping the panels really quickly, right? Starting from scratch. If I'm good, I'm like, oh, I'll get through 20 levels, no problem. Click, 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 right? And then we'll talk about like ramping the arena, right? So like you've got a full toolbox, but you need to identify what problem you're trying to solve from a ramping standpoint, right? Before you start to lay them out. So I think your structure is good. We just have to time it now so that people will have
they can stay.
Yes.
The communication's clear. Their understanding is there. It's like I'm kind of lined up.
Yes, exactly. Well,
I'm not using them.
Essentially, you've got a lot of tools and a lot of ramping tools. You should put a logic to them, both for you and for the player, right? I know I'm approaching. I don't even have to consciously think this. I'm approaching, and Rose says every 5 levels it evolves, and so it's like he totally agrees is what he's saying in the chat. Yeah, see, he's saying, oh, crap, Red Ghost is here, right? Like, you want that to be an event. Like, you want to have some impact with that. So you start teaching the progression early on, and then as you go, every 5 levels is a set, right? So as you go, like, at 5 levels, the rules change a little bit. Like, oh, I've added a new thing, and then that thing progresses 5 times. And then I've added another thing at level 15, and that thing progresses 5 times to get harder, right? And so, like, each time it's like, oh, shit, a new ghost, right? And so maybe there's like, a bunch of sets of like ghosts by themselves, and then you start to throw like just 2 ghosts more at the player, right? And then at 100 levels, you're like, oh crap, it's 3 ghosts. And then at 200 levels, oh crap, it's 4 ghosts or something like that, right? So that basically, like from a player perspective, you can start to progress in a way that like you know where the shifts in difficulty are, right? And also, I'll get to know those ghosts. And then what you can do is a start from this level gives you a bonus, right? So like I'm a pro player, and this is a feature down the road. Like start at which level? Oh, I'll start at level 20. Like I could skip all those early levels, right? Or like start at level 40, like because the hard part for me is starting at. It doesn't really get hard for me until 100 levels in or something.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I was playing like Tetris, and I was like, oh, you can just start higher.
Yeah, you can start at level 10 plus, right?
Yeah.
And so, and so Tetris is a good example. So think about how hard that goes. He only ramps one thing, and that's the speed of the pieces dropping, right? Mm-hmm. The music ramps too, but the speed of the pieces dropping and how soon the thing goes up. So essentially, like, the level timer is the only ratchet in Tetris, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Is like the whole game just continues to speed up. The pieces drop faster, and in some modes the pieces move up, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. Like, there's a lot to think about for the player in Tetris. It's more than you think. There's seven pieces, right? And so you're only focused on 2 at a time. The one I've got and the one I'm dropping next, but those shapes are always living in your head, right? So, the only thing you really do need to ramp is how fast. Does that make sense? In this, yeah. I think you can start with one single ramp piece and start to add these other things in, right?
So it would be like,
Yeah, nice. Proxy's playing Tetris exactly right now. Anyway, list out all of your ramping functions, right? Like in a table, like this is where they are, and then write, what impact you want it to have on the player, right? And it could just be like more stress, right? Or positional awareness. That's ghosts, right? Like where your tap panels are, right? Etc. And then we can break each one down. Actually, we can do it in 2 weeks, right? Or next week, or whenever you're ready, and start to talk about individually ramping each one, and then we'll make a pattern for like how that works out across the whole game potentially. Because I know in your head you've got this vision for how the game plays when it's the most frantic, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. We need to step to that. Mm-hmm. Right? So we need to come back at it from the bottom side and ramp you up into this is where the game is fun because it's so frantic that it's kind of nutty, right?
Okay. No, yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Well, because there's other things you need to consider too, right? Like the difficulty. What is the skill difficulty in your game? I'm asking you. I mean, I'm going to tell you what I think it is.
As in like an easy, medium, or hard kind of game?
Well, no. Actually, no. As in more in define the skill that the player is using. So, like, let's break that down into micro actions. We're running out of time, but like, let's like think about that for a second, and then I'll give you. Actually, let's go for like 15 more minutes.
Okay.
So, what's the skill? What is the player actions that is actually a physical skill?
Physical skill is selecting a position.
Right.
Right.
So here, let's do this real quick. I'm going to create a little whiteboard for us. Let's see, change this background to white. So let's talk about this for a second. And actually, I'll leave my click clack, click clack, clack clack, bitches. You're a very loud typer, Josh.
Oh my bad.
Okay, so let's talk about simply the difficulty of tapping something on the screen. What else?